Hello, Ash. Welcome to Author Chat.
Hello there.
How are
Thanks
you
for having
doing?
me. Yeah, I'm not bad. Not bad. Uh, I'm dressed for the weather.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the last couple of chats I did, I have done without the jacket, but since then we've had air conditioning installed. So the jacket's back on, but it's probably destroying a forest somewhere just so I can wear a jacket.
That's
Which,
okay. I wish I had air conditioning. I really do.
oh mate, it's worth it. It's not that expensive, and it I got one in my bedroom, and it does the whole house.
Oh, excellent.
It's only it was a mid-range model, but it's strong enough to do the whole house. It is
Oh, cool.
brilliant.
I
So
will definitely look into that.
yeah. Although I mean, you could always use the heat to sort of inspire you for like desert-themed horror.
True, true. Or
Yeah.
sweaty things. I write a lot of sweaty things.
Yes. Yes. I've been a fan of the sweaty things myself. Actually, saying that, talking of alternative marketing schemes, one of my stories did quite well on FetLife, of all things, which is like a dating app for fetish people. That mask would do very well.
Yes, yes, I'm sure it would. I'm sure some of my writing would as well.
Yeah. So what inspired you to become a horror author?
Ah, well, I've been writing. I've been writing since I was I'm 5 years old, but Um, I've been writing fiction on and off since I was at school, and it's always been on the kilter of bizarre and strange. And I've got a very dark black sense of humour, which feeds through into pretty much everything I write. And it's sort of with the strange and bizarre and the weird humour, sort of settling onto the more extreme side of horror. Excuse me, of horror seemed to be the absolute place to be. And so I've just I just write horror, and I love writing horror. So I've been a horror fan since I was a kid. I My first books were children's vampire books, and my first movie I can remember watching, apart from Star Wars, is Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, I've always loved horror. It seemed a good place to settle.
My first movies were Hellraiser and The Fly with Jeff Goldblum at the age
Excellent.
of 8. So yeah, you can see me in my full Cenobite gear. Just need a few nails. Got the haircut.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. And so you said that you. Oh, sorry. I will apologise. The question, what inspired you to be a horror author, is one that Stephen King refuses to answer because what the interviewer is, he thinks the interviewer is always asking, "What messed you up? Who hurt you?" When really it's going to be down to the fact that at a young age you discovered Hammer horror or something. But
Absolutely. Yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser. Yeah, absolutely.
that'll do it. And you mentioned that you've always been drawn into sort of the darker, more extreme versions of horror. Um, what were your first experiences of that? What drew you to it?
Um, to be honest, anything Clive Barker. Um, it, it's hard. People say, "Oh, Clive Barker, yeah, he's a horror writer, or he made the Hellraiser films, or whatever." And yeah, but they're not his books and the Hellraiser movies that he was directly involved with. They're not straight normal horror. They're much darker and weirder.
Yeah.
Um, Even if you take the sexual aspects out of the films,
Uh,
it's just harder and creepier. I mean, the Cenobites in the first Hellraiser movie, they're absolutely terrifying.
yeah.
Um, I've completely forgotten what the question was, but yeah,
And the physical effects as well, when Frank is being sort of created and he goes from skeleton and slowly works his way up. But then they ran out of budget, so the Cenobites dying at the end, sorry, spoiler everyone, was like £5 was spent on that, but they
Absolutely.
spent it on the important parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and physical effects, practical effects in films are just, I mean, they're just so much better than the
Oh God, yeah.
tripe the CGI comes up with.
I was I think it was Demons. I was doing a midnight showing, and it was like just a whole load of hardcore fans in there, and then they got some actors who dressed up as demons and were running through the audience and everything. Tremendous fun. But talking about the practical effects, there's one point where like one of the demons has got his hair being held and he's being pushed down onto a nail, which is pointing right at his eye. And the
Yeah,
audience were just yelling, "Do it! Do it!" And I mean, it's not the most realistic practical effects we've ever seen. We all know the cornstarch, blood, and everything,
yeah,
but it is so gratifying.
it
Much
is.
better than a CGI realistic spread because you get the
Yeah,
uncanny valley there.
yes, definitely.
And um, do you have any limits when it comes to gore? Is there anything for you that like you're like, no, I'm not touching that?
Well, for my own personal writing, no. I said to myself when I sat down to write Jane Doe, which was my first extreme horror novella,
Yeah.
I said I'm not going to touch children, and I've managed to kill I think 7 in the first book. Um, no, I don't. I don't. When I'm writing, my extreme horror isn't as gross out as some other people's. Um, I tend not to talk at length about bodily fluids. I, I feel there's a difference between extreme horror and gross horror. Um, but no, there really aren't any limits for what I'll write. As far as films go, I can't stand seeing teeth or nails for some reason. They
Really?
turns my stomach.
Oh,
Um, but aside from that, no. I mean, I really don't have any limits. Um, but no, I don't write a lot of really gross stuff. I don't write huge amounts about. I mean, I've read some stuff where people talk page on page about puke, and
yeah.
no, I don't write stuff like that.
The thing is, you get
I,
numb to it after a while.
yeah,
So
yeah, um,
everything in moderation, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Or
But
vary it. Throw
yeah,
in some other fluids. Let's have a cocktail.
but yeah, no. I mean, I don't think if you start putting limits on what you're writing, you're limiting your own creative process.
Yeah.
Um, because you never know what your characters are going to end up doing. I
Mm.
I I do generally know where my characters are going to go when I start, but they always go off at a
Yeah.
tangent at some point.
Yeah. The worst ones is when you realize the character you're writing about isn't the most interesting character and you have to go back and rewrite it and
Oh god,
fix
yeah.
it.
I don't like
Yeah.
rewriting my work. I really don't. I don't like the editing process.
Oh, I despise editing. I'm heavily dyslexic. I'm awful at it. I rely on my beta readers. I have I have a line editor who has a shattered hip at the moment, so that's not ideal.
Oh,
But I've also got my beta readers who have been doing a great job of picking up the slack. They are wondrously pedantic, a nightmare to go out with, but wonderful to have as beta readers. They pick up on all the anachronisms, what we call the Apple Watches.
yeah.
Uh, if they go reading through it and they'll be like, "Oh, I think you'll find eels don't have scales." And I was like, "Right, okay, change that." Uh, yeah, one of my stories was pretty much written by a beta reader because I wrote it about diving, which I knew nothing about. And he's a fully qualified diver. And he was like, "No, change, 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 change." And by that point, you're thinking, is acknowledgements enough, or do I have to put him down as a co-author?
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of biology in my books, and on several of my reviews, I've got people going, "Well, he clearly doesn't know how the human body works," and I'm just like, "No, I'm not going to research this. This is extreme horror. I've got people's arms and legs being pulled off left, right, and center. It's not
Yeah.
going to be accurate."
Ah, new dog has just detected someone
Ah,
on right in the middle of a chat. This is very professional of me. Yeah, that's actually something that I tend to avoid in my own writing. I don't like to kill dogs, but I have killed two. So limits are made to be broken, I guess.
yeah. I generally stay away from cats and dogs just because readers don't like it. Readers don't like it when you kill the animals. So
Oh yeah, no, that does definitely put me off. Like there are a few things when I'm reading a book that I don't like. I really don't like corduroy. I really don't like man buns. I really don't like boat shoes, and I don't like dogs getting killed. I'm okay with any of the three previous items if they die horribly in the first chapter. But yeah, no, I definitely, whenever I read through a book and I see it's got a man bun, I'm like, he's got to die. He's got to die. Quick, is this extreme horror? I should be all right. It's not going to end well. And I don't mind boat shoes if they're on a boat. But if they're walking through the street in boat shoes, wear street shoes.
absolutely.
Ah, honestly, some people. But going through your profile on Goodreads, that could take a day. You are phenomenally prolific. What's your writing routine? What's your
Uh,
secret?
well, no, I usually start writing at 7 in the morning, and I write until usually 9 in the morning. Uh, and in that 2 hours, I expect to write 2 to 4 thousand words usable. Um, which my first drafts are pretty clean, so um, I can do if I'm ready and on the case, I can knock 1,000 words out every half hour, and they're pretty solid. So
It's amazing.
yeah, that's how I'm at the moment. I'm putting out a novella every 2 weeks over the summer, but normally I do sort of a novel one month and then a novella the next month, and then a novel, then a novella, then a novel, and I go for the first of the month for my releases. Um, yeah, I am very prolific. It's certainly a full time escapade to do that. But yeah, yeah, I and that's how I do it. I'm very regimented with what I do and how I do it.
Yeah.
Um, I've got a specific 25-minute piece of music that I put on that I write to, and I'll listen to it 4 times, and I'll write 4,000 words in that 2 hours.
So you sort of get yourself into a fugue state via music. Come on, what is
Uh,
it? It's got to be death metal. It's got to be like black metal. There's going to be a music video with a church burning. What's your music? What's your
it,
secret?
it's on YouTube, and it's someone's 25-minute fantasy writing sprint piece of music, and it's just
Really?
sort of classical music that runs with quells and such. And I've just attached to it, and then when that's on, I write, and that's it. And then once I've done that, it's 9 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is just getting to work, and I've already dropped 4,000 words. So
My gosh, that's amazing. And do you plot out your words in advance, or are you a discovery writer?
no, I when I was writing like a normal person, I would I would just wing the whole lot. When it would take me 3 4 months to get down 60,000 words.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would just make it up as I went along, and it wouldn't matter. But with the way that I write now, to put down 20,000 words a week, I have to plot everything. Otherwise, I just
Yeah.
write myself into corners. And if I write myself into a corner in the middle of if I've written like 1,000 words and I've just written myself into a corner, that'll kill me for the next 3 sprints,
Mhm.
and I just can't pick it back up. So now everything now is plotted fairly accurately. I mean, it gives plenty of leeway. My characters have a tendency of just going off on one. but I can pull them back in. I usually do sort
Oh,
of to the plot, but nothing more than that. I have no idea what conversations are going to happen or anything like that, but I know where my plot has got to go. And then yeah, I can just get those words out.
and how do you do your plotting? Do you use like a formal system or?
Uh, this is my plot book, and it's just scribble. It's just scribble.
Oh, nice. So it's kind of like a bullet point system of these are the events, these are the scenes.
Absolutely. And I'll if I'm doing a full novel, I'll usually do the first half before I start writing,
Yep.
and then I'll start writing, and I'll get 2 or 3 chapters in, and then I'll do the second half of the plot once I've got the characters more fleshed out and in my head. Um, and but yeah, it's just bullet point down, 2 or 3 lines per chapter, and that way I can also got something to refer to because I have a tendency of forgetting my characters' names.
Oh God, yes. I mean, when you've killed hundreds of people, to anyone listening in the books, the names are a nightmare,
Yeah,
especially when you get asked about a particular character and you're thinking, I'm going to need more. And I'm
yeah,
bad with names anyway. I give everyone a nickname in real life. I'm terrible with names. It's it is truly tragic. But yeah, character names are next level. Even if I'm not doing plotting, if I'm doing a basic short story, I will still, or I'll have a notepad next to me and I'll have every character's name down, just so I can remember their names as a bare minimum. And I try and bang out a short story in one writing session
yeah,
because if you're not plotting, then you really need to get it done whilst it's in your head.
yes,
Otherwise, you mm, you get yourself into a, well, like you said, a corner.
yes. I have a tendency of repeating myself if I take a break without having a plot down.
Oh, I will do that anyway. And my stories run in themes as well because something will happen in my life, and then the next 3 stories are going to be on a similar theme because I'm working this thing out. I wrote 2 stories in a row about male pregnancy. I didn't get pregnant. I want to make that very clear. Uh, but my mum had a cancer scare, and the concept of this thing growing where it shouldn't be, it got in my head, and so then we got a whole load of MPreg stories. And then, yeah, I when you talk about repeating yourself, my beta readers are very, very good at picking that up because
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes words get caught as you're typing, and then
yes,
you'll be like, well, I like that word, and it gets used again and again and again and again.
yeah,
And then I just see it, they highlight it, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'll change it.
yeah. I do that all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Start finding yourself using the same word 3 times in one sentence. It's just like, oh no, what have I done?
I mean, sometimes that can be good. It's got
Yeah,
impact,
it can.
but only when it's intended.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you are writing at a speed that, I mean, yeah, it makes us all the rest of us look paltry. But how do you fuel your writing? Tea, coffee, adrenaline,
Coffee. I'm a big
coffee.
coffee drinker. Um, but yeah, I drink coffee. I drink a lot of water. Um, I'm teetotal because I've had my demons with alcohol. And when I was drinking very heavily, I can't write. I mean, you can
No,
sit down and put words down, but they don't make any sense the next day.
yeah, I've never been able
um,
to write drunk. I liked the idea of it, but no, I need to be stone cold sober.
yeah,
Uh,
um, and I don't like tea. I can't stand tea.
I
Not
don't
very
mind the
British of
black.
me. I can't. I can't. Ugh.
What coffee do you drink?
I've just bought a Virtuo not a Tassimo Virtuo, I think it's called, something like that. Which is one of those coffee machines you put a pod in the top. So I'm drinking about 18 different types of coffee at the moment because you've got to try them all.
Yeah.
But normally I'm just straight instant, whatever comes. I'm not fussed. Nice and strong. Little bit of sweetener in it just to take the bitterness off because I drink cheap coffee sometimes. And yeah, 4 or 5 mugs before 11 o'clock in the morning. That usually does me.
Yeah. During lockdown, my boyfriend and I had a Nespresso by the bed. Never do that. Never do that. You're having a nice, chilled out, lying in morning, and then you realize that you've got through like 4 cups of coffee whilst you just sat there chatting,
Yeah,
and the whole world is in vibrant colors and slow-mo, and you're on the verge of a heart attack. So yeah,
yeah.
don't have a coffee machine by the bed.
No, I can't have a TV in the bedroom either because I just won't get out of bed.
Yep, yep. I'm quite lucky in that respect that because I've got a dog, I wake up in a field every morning
Yeah,
because I can't. I have no memory of anything that happens before my first coffee. So I used to be able to game the system with that. I would do the washing up first thing in the morning because I wouldn't remember doing it, and therefore it's a victimless crime. Uh,
excellent.
I mean, that's a horror plot in itself. Uh, so I hadn't had a coffee. I don't remember the murder. It didn't happen.
No,
Oh,
I've got cats, so yeah, I have to get up. They
yeah.
trample all over me just before the alarm goes off every morning.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Buddy's not allowed in the bedroom. He's my other dogs have been allowed in the bedroom, but Buddy is not fully trained and he will jump on the bed, which is a
Yeah,
no-no.
yeah,
So once we send him to finishing school and he ends up all his barks with what, then he'll be allowed in the appropriate places of the house.
excellent. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
Sorry,
sorry.
that was right. I was just going to talk about my cats some more.
No, go for it. Go for it.
My one of my boys is an old man now. He's well into his tens. So he's all right. But I've got a youngster. He's 5 this year, I think. 5 next year. 5 last year. He's about 5. He gets up on the bed about 5:30 every morning, and he headbutts you. Get up, get up, get up. Um, and he's learned not to lick me. He started off by licking my face because he realised that would get me out of bed really quickly because I really don't like that.
Yeah.
Um, but he's learned not to do that because that gets him ousted from the bedroom and the bedroom door gets shut. So he headbutts now. Get up, get up.
Oh. I mean, I live in Hemel Hempstead, so a headbutt is basically how we make anyone do anything. So that works for me. And so with your output, you've both self-published and you've worked with independent presses. How do you go about that? Do you have an agent or?
Um, Actually, I've been attempting to secure an agent for somewhere in the region of 2 decades, and I haven't managed it. No, I work as a formatter and a cover designer as well. So I actually work for some of the presses,
Ah,
and uh, I'm fairly prevalent on Facebook and social media. So you just get to know everybody,
yeah,
and yeah, there's usually somebody who's looking for something that I've done because I do obviously put out a lot of different things. Um, some of which I don't want to self-publish. I'm very known for my extreme horror comedy.
yeah,
A little while ago, I wrote something that was clearly just Bizarro. So I went to a Bizarro press where I knew the owner and I said, "Are you interested in this?" And he had a read and he went on to publish it from there because it just wouldn't fit with my normal audience.
yeah,
So sometimes, yeah, got to go to a small press to try and tap into a different audience.
yeah. No, I can relate with that. Um, I started off and I was going to be a space opera writer, um, but no, didn't work out. I've written a few space opera stories, but oh my God, they're ghastly. And so, despite the hundreds of books I've read, it's just not something that I'm any good at writing. Whereas horror, um, not only have I been reading it my entire life, but it seems to be a niche that I just have a natural. I find it easier to write with horror, but if I ever do publish my space opera, it will be under a different pen name.
Yeah, yeah. Pen names are important when you're
Yeah,
crossing genre lines like that.
yeah. I think my parents knew that when I was born because they gave me four names. So I have multiple, many combinations I can do if I ever decide to write cozy romance. Yeah. Uh, no, I don't think I'd do well at that. My writing group, every Valentine's Day, they're like, oh, everybody, our theme is romance. So bring in a piece that you're working on at the moment, and it's a romantic section. And whenever it's my time that comes up, they're like, Newton, you've brought something. I went, yes, yeah. It's not as extreme as my normal stuff. And they're like, okay, read it. And yeah, to be honest, we started off our writing group started off with everyone being all different genres, and it was a fantasy writing group, but we were all different genres. And now I think everyone is pretty much exclusively horror on there. So I think I've warped their minds. I take full credit.
As you should.
Yeah. And um, what are your thoughts on self-publishing at the moment? How do you enjoy it?
Um, I I like self-publishing. Um, as I say, I do professional formatting, and I'm my own cover designer, and I cover design for several publishing houses and other authors as well. So self-publishing is a lot easier for me than it is for a lot of other people. I obviously work with beta readers and such, but when it actually comes to putting the final product out, it's nice and easy for me. Um, I'm glad that I have established myself now, because with AI coming in, it's going to get a lot harder for self-published authors. Um, and I'm not. I don't want to get too much into the AI thing. I'm against AI, and as more and more people write using AI, um, it's going to get harder and harder for self-published authors. I've already seen readers
Yeah.
saying, "I'm not going to buy any more self-published books because I'm getting AI slop. The books don't make any sense." Um, I recently worked with a publishing house and I was editing for them, and one of the stories was clearly AI written. And I go get halfway through the story, and I'm just like, this isn't right. There's something fundamentally wrong with it. And I can imagine if you've gone and spent £5 or £6 on a Kindle book, and you've got too far through it to be able to give it back to Amazon, and then it stops making any sense. Yeah, I can see that being a problem.
Yeah.
So I think self-publishing is fantastic, but it is going to get harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, and it was already uh, fairly difficult because when you're competing, especially with Kindle, you're not just competing with what's been released that year, you're competing with the entire uh, of mankind's literature. So there's already a ton of material out there. And what AI has done is muddy the waters even further and make it harder to be seen,
Yeah,
which is a struggle. Yeah, I was previously a computer programmer. And so my plan B, if being a author didn't work out, was, well, I can just go back to being a computer programmer. But yeah, AI took those jobs first. So
yes, yeah.
there's no going back now. I'm going to have to learn carpentry or something. And I am the world's worst at DIY. I really am. I thought DIY was a type of dating, but no, I awful at it.
Marketing is something else. Marketing's something I'm learning. I am learning to market. I was very lucky when Jane Doe came out. I wasn't on Facebook or anything like that, and I got 30 sales, I think, in my first month,
Oh, nice.
which was phenomenal. Um,
Yeah.
and it's grown from there. I just got really, really lucky when I put my first book out. But now I think you've got to do some sort of marketing, whether that's
Mm.
advertising on Amazon or paying for BookBub or just being on social media 24 hours a day. Um, you've got to get your face you've
Yeah.
got to get your face out there somehow.
Yeah.
Um, and people have to be, it's constant reminders. I hate going on social media and shouting, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
But then you
It's
can't do
that
it all
or
the time.
self photos of your feet.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen
Whatever.
my feet. That is not going to work for me.
I imagine that you have masks on your feet.
I do.
Everyone does. They're called socks. Stupid Newton. Oh. So, and you mentioned social media. So how? Because my problem is, I really struggle with social media because Facebook. I don't I don't really go on Facebook that much anymore. I used to use it quite a lot 15 years ago, but these days it just seems to be full of irrelevant information for me. How do you cut through that chaff?
Um, for what I write, there's a very large community on Facebook. So I'm actually very lucky. The extreme horror and splatterpunk community is prevalent on Facebook far more than anywhere else. I can't, for example, I can't get an inroad into Blue Sky. I've tried. I can't find anybody that will even mention me on Blue Sky. But on Facebook, yeah, not a problem at all. So it very much depends on your market as to which social media is probably best for you. Although I would venture to say, don't go onto Twitter anymore, X, whatever it's called. Stay off
Yeah,
of that one.
I deleted my account when it stopped being Twitter.
Yes, that's probably for the best.
I didn't get. I'll be honest, it was an easy decision for me because I got nothing out of Twitter. Um, so deleting my account, and it wasn't so much an ethical choice, but it was just it did nothing for me, and I didn't really like what was going on, so might as well.
No,
And RE Blue Sky, the Horror Writers Association UK chapter uses it, so you will at least get a few posts on there, which will be referencing you.
excellent.
This interview will go out on Blue Sky as well. So um, I don't understand Blue Sky. That's another member of the team, though, and they will handle all of that. They do understand it. They know what they're doing.
Good. I'll copy what they're doing then.
Yeah. And TikTok, you're on TikTok as well?
I've got I've got an account on TikTok, but I've never put a video up.
Right. There's
I'm only I'm sorry, I'm only just getting into doing videos, and at the moment I'm doing reels on Instagram because I understand Instagram.
yeah, it's a very visual medium.
Yes.
Uh, there's a really strong splatterpunk community on TikTok, and there's a really good Discord actually. It's called Splatter Chatter, and it is where I found all of the sort of my favorite like splatterpunk books. They've got a book club there, and they all go out and they review these books on TikTok, and these are incredibly loving, deviant people, and they're absolutely my tribe. So I recommend it. I can send you an invite after this, and
Yes, please do.
yeah, well worth it.
I don't understand Discord either, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, so I'm used to Discord, but TikTok is new to me. So it's learning how to do. I've been doing a lot of film reviews on TikTok, and that again, it's I'm a member of Cinema Society Saturday, which is another Discord group, and we get allocated a horror movie and a partner each week, and we just have to do like a short 3-minute review of the movie,
Excellent.
and so that's good. It's a way of learning TikTok for me that's regimented because like normally I'm like, well, what do I do? What do I do? I don't want to do a little dance or some kind of a slapstick routine, or I don't want to put a filter uh, of me with like big eyes or something. But whereas joining these groups, they say watch this movie and then record a video for 3 minutes about your thoughts on it, and then remember at the very beginning of the video to say what the top theme of the movie is and who your partner you're paired up with is.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
it
That sounds like a really good idea.
yeah, it's almost like a training course, but
Yeah.
it's a training course and you get to watch awesome horror and read awesome horror.
Excellent. Excellent.
And so you sort of uh, ruined my own question here, but you're a professional cover designer. Do you have any advice for horror authors, especially self-published authors, when it comes to designing their own covers?
Oh, I mean, the cover designer inside of me says, no, don't do that. Um, Make sure a lot of beginner problems uh, it comes from that people seem to think that they should put a scene from the book on the cover. You don't need to do that. The cover should emote what the book is about. So you can stray from what's actually on the page to what goes on the cover. Um, but if you're going to do your own covers, learn how to use a piece of software correctly. I use Photoshop, but I would completely understand if people don't want to use Photoshop. It's very complicated, um, and I've been using Photoshop since I was in my last job. I was an IT engineer, but it was in a charity, and we used to teach, and I used to teach Photoshop. So I've been using Photoshop for quite a long time. Um, but learn how to do text properly. Putting text on your cover is the single most important thing. You can have a completely black cover, but if you've got the right typography that's kerned correctly, then it can be just as impactful as a six or £700 cover from a cover design. So get your text right,
Yeah,
but or come to me and I'll do it
yeah.
for you.
Yeah. That's why I was like, no, I screwed my question up because you're a professional cover designer. And when I wrote the question, I thought you were an author who designed his own covers, which is a completely different ballgame.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I started doing my own covers as soon as I started writing, and then after I was on social media, people started coming to me and go, "You do your own covers, will you do mine?" And that all rolled from there. It's a good chunk of my monthly income now,
Yeah.
because the world's in financial crisis and everyone's not buying books.
Yeah. Yeah, that's noticed. And also, it's really good weather at the moment. And for me, when it's really good weather, I read more books. But for the world as a whole, when the sun is shining, everyone's in beer gardens and not reading.
Yeah,
So yeah, you definitely, whenever there's a heat wave, you see your profits go zoom.
June is always my worst month. Always.
Yeah, nobody likes June.
No, no,
And then you got quarter five when it kicks in around November. And it's like, yes,
absolutely.
maybe we can pay the mortgage this year. So um, you've collaborated with other authors like Rain Havoc. Uh,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to other authors who are interested in collaborations?
Okay. The first thing is never be afraid to ask. Um, I've had people come to me and say, such and such is interested in writing with you, and they won't come and ask you. So I'm coming and asking you instead.
Oh my
Like,
God.
okay. But no, don't be afraid to ask. Uh, Regardless of what we write, none of us are monsters. Most of us are not monsters. Um, when you've decided you're going to write together, discuss your ideas out fully first. Don't get 3/4 of the way through the project and decide that something's going to change, because you're not writing for yourself anymore, and your partner or partners in your collaboration, you're throwing them under the bus if you suddenly change direction. Um, so yeah, make sure everybody knows. Make sure everyone's on the same page before you start, and before you start, make sure everything's agreed when it comes to covers and editing and things like that, because otherwise you'll get 3/4 of the way through the process and someone will go, oh, I've spoken to a cover designer, and then somebody else is like, but no, I thought we were going to use such and such, and it's like, no, I thought I was doing it. So just get everything down before you start, and make sure everyone's on the same page, and then it should go a lot smoother, and you won't end up arguing with each other after you've written 3/4 of the thing. Because you
Yeah.
don't want to fall out when you've just finished writing a book together.
No. I mean, I remember I was reading a story about Terry Pratchett, and he did a collaboration with Neil Gaiman. And one of the things they struggled with was writing discipline, because Terry Pratchett, he has a writing shed in his garden with 6 computer monitors, and he gets up first thing in the morning. He's northern hardworking, has been his entire life. So when he transitioned to being an author, he kept that sort of productivity mindset. And so 7 of the morning, he's in his writing shed, he's got his cup of tea. Neil Gaiman is much more relaxed about his writing routine. And so he was just getting all these emails and messages from Terry Pratchett saying, look, I know it's 10 a.m. over there. How come you've not started writing?
Yeah, yeah, I've had similar, because I write so quickly. I just like, I get my email back and they go, right, it's your turn to write a chapter, and 3 hours later I'll send it back to them, and they go, there you go, there's my chapter, and they're like, but we'll have to wait a week for them to send their chapter back, and it's just like, oh god.
And you've forgotten the story by then. You've moved on. You've probably done another 3 novels by then.
Get it all down before you start. Make sure that everybody's on that page.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So another thing is, you have a Patreon, which you use alongside your writing. Like, how does that work? I'm a complete novice when it comes to Patreon.
Um, I've got several tiers of supporters, and they range from um, having your name at the front of the book as a thank you, all the way through to um, basically an apprenticeship with me, where you can basically have me as your right hand man while you're writing, um, all for a simple monthly subscription. Um, and I'm starting to put more and more onto my Patreon now. It's far too easy for someone like Facebook to take my account away.
Mm,
So I'm moving more and more into creating my own spaces. And
yeah,
yeah, I go on to, I do a video every week that goes on to there, which is just for my patrons, to tell them where I'm at, what I'm doing. For a different tier, I'll do special videos sometimes that run half an hour to an hour long, of just where I'm at, where my headspace is, what's going on in my life personally. All the way through to, I wrote this morning, here, have at it. And I'll just put up 4,000 words and go, here, you can read this. Even though it's completely unedited and probably doesn't make any sense.
it's all the
But
same word.
yeah, it could well be. um, So yeah, and it gives me, it helps keep the lights on, because it's money every month that goes into my account that it's far more guaranteed than a sale.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it really it does it. It's one of those things that every month it's a stability for me. And I super appreciate my patrons. They
yeah,
mean the absolute world to me. I've had calls with them. I've had video chats with them. I'm planning on watching a movie with them all at some point when I can work out the legality of watching a movie with someone online.
Yeah.
We won't go into that.
No, 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 no. During lockdown, we all experimented with that, and it's yes, certainly I wouldn't be able to do it on behalf of the Horror Writers Association UK chapter,
No,
but
no. But yeah, and it's my own little community. They're all there to support me, and no one's there to judge me. Because wherever you go, if you're a writer, someone judges you.
yeah, I do. So it's something that I've been looking at Patreon, because at the moment I have a process where I put up every week a new short story for free on my Substack, and then I see which ones are the most popular, and then I bundle them together into an anthology. But that, yeah, I'm not sure if that is the best way to go about it. I get some really good data from it, and so I get value from that data. I mean, what is it they say? If you get something for free, you are the product.
Yeah.
And in this case, I'm using the world as beta readers. But I was looking at Patreon and thinking that perhaps that might be a better way of doing it, especially as I've got my fourth anthology coming out in November. And at that point, I sort of want to transition and shake things up a little bit.
It's very simple as well. It's there's another website like Patreon called Kofi, and it's far less user friendly. So Patreon is definitely the way I would move forward. And you lose nothing by it. You can use it like social media. You don't have to put a paywall there if you don't want to, and just create your community that way.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose Substack's like that in a way, because you can do a paid tier on that. At the moment, I have mine completely free, but I'll have to do some investigation on whether Patreon or Substack is the way forwards. Um, I like that Substack manages my newsletter for free as well,
Yes.
so that's a plus. But yeah, so what advice would you have for a new author who comes up to you and says, Ash, I want to become an extreme horror writer?
No, no. Um, just write it. Just write it down. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, and put it in the hands of somebody who's willing to look at it, that does know what they're doing. And don't be offended if they tell you it's wrong. Um, I'm a huge fan of paying it forward. So I support a lot of new authors. I go out of my way to help them. And sometimes people don't like your advice, but it's always from a good place from me. I'm not telling you it's wrong because I want to take the piss out of you. I'm telling you it's wrong because it's going to cost you sales.
Yep.
Um, and just write it down and come and find somebody who's paying it forward and get them to have a look at it if they're willing. And
Yep.
you don't have to be a pain in the ass. Just I'm always happy. I'm always in my DMs on Facebook or Instagram. Just send me a message and go, hi, I'm a new author. I've read your stuff. It's probably a bit like yours. Will you have a look at it and tell me if it's any good? And we're either going to turn around and go, I'm sorry, I haven't got time, or yeah, send it to me.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, just go for it. You lose nothing by writing it, even if you don't publish it in the end. So it's a good learning process to find out what you've got inside yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you
Absolutely
will.
not. Yes, all the way through for years, you will keep making mistakes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still release short stories thinking they're going to do phenomenally well. And some of my biggest successes, I've always gone, it's good enough for government work, and then it's taken off. And then others, I've been like, oh, yeah, I love this story. This was brilliant. No. So it's always good to have someone else that can look at it and help explain why from a point of view of another person. Uh, so I just finished Brute, and you have some phenomenally compelling antagonists. Do you have how do you come up with your antagonists? How do you make them compelling?
Antagonists. Well, most of my antagonists are not moustache twirling villains. They usually want something, um, and it's not just world domination. Um, you need to make your antagonists human, and it's something a lot of people forget to do. Because you look at some of the most famous antagonists in fiction history, and they are just moustache twirling villains. If you look at Darth Vader, when the first three Star Wars films came out, he was just a moustache twirling villain. He had no backstory, he had nothing. He just wanted to kill everybody and take over the world. And a lot of people see that and learn from that. And no, if you want to write, especially if you want to write a lot, your antagonists need to have wants and desires and be humans and have their own sense of humor and things like that. You people assume that villains should be villainous, and most real life villains are not villainous, which is why they get away with so much. They're just regular people. You hear the stories of, oh, we've arrested this guy and we found 7 heads in his crawl space. And you ask the next door neighbor, and it's just like, oh, he was the nicest man in the world.
Mm, Jeffrey
Because,
Dahmer.
yeah, they're human beings. And that's how serial killers get away with it, because they're just unassuming people on the street. Um, and if you want to make your antagonists interesting and even more villainous, make them human. I write more human than supernatural monster in my work, and I always try to make my villains as interesting, if not more interesting, than my heroes.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because when often with the heroes, the reader is trying to relate to them. So if you make them too specific and too evocative as a hero, it's harder for them to relate to them. So you can expend your energy more on your villain,
Yes, yes.
which,
A lot of people self-insert for the hero, um, and you try not to do that for the hero or the villain, because it will make sense to you, but it won't necessarily make sense to the reader.
yeah, because you're not filling in the bits that you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I should ask is, do you have any groups that you recommend on Facebook?
Um, uh, there are lots of groups on Facebook. There are several. They tend to label under splatterpunk authors and readers rather than extreme horror, even
Right.
though they are two separate things.
Yes.
Most people these days just associate splatterpunk with extreme horror, and it's not. But if you look for the splatterpunk groups, you'll find some very good groups there. Books of horror is very good. It's very popular, although there's a huge number of people in there. There's something like 30 or 40,000 members of that group. So it's not somewhere you want to go for a small, quiet chat. Um, but yeah, go for the splatterpunk groups if you're interested in extreme horror. Um, Splatterpunk. If you're an author, there are several author groups, and if you're a reader, then anything with the word splatterpunk in the title will be a group for you.
And how do you avoid what is it they call it? Doom scrolling. Do you
Yeah,
this is where you
yeah.
say I don't.
I have to. If I sit on Facebook for more than sort of 20 minutes and just scroll and look at things, I'll become very depressed very quickly. It's it's very challenging on your mental health. So my advice would be find a couple of groups that have got some like-minded people in and go to those groups. Don't just scroll down your timeline,
Right.
and then you can avoid all the things you don't necessarily want to see. Um, it it's a challenging place, particularly Facebook.
Also, Facebook throws so much irrelevant information at you in your timeline anyway.
Yes,
Even without all the advertising, they're constantly trying to get you to join new groups or show you things that are unrelated. Um, so yeah, it is a time sink.
yeah.
Right. And so normally when I ask this next question, this is going to be about what they're doing in their next 6 months. But what's coming up next from you, and how many days do we have to wait?
I think it's the 9th today, so I've got a release on the 15th, and I've got a release on the 1st, and the 15th, and the 1st. And then I think I've got a 4 week break to the next one. Over the summer, I've been releasing what I've called the Summer of Sin, which is a selection of novellas about the seven deadly sins. And I've got
Yeah.
one coming out every 2 weeks, which is why I've got so much prepared at the moment. And then after that, I think the last one comes out on the 1st of September. And then on the 1st of October, I've got the 7th book in the Sick Fuck series coming out.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there'll be something else the month after, and something else the month after. It just goes on.
Right. Yeah. No, I knew when I asked that question, it wasn't going to be the like one project that's coming up in a year. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Uh, One last question. Like, when you're writing, do you prefer keyboard? Do you have any particular software you use, or do you write it all by hand?
No, I write in Word. I've just purchased Word 2024, I think. But up until about 2 weeks ago, I was writing in Word 2016. Um, and I just use standard keyboard, which is got all the letters wiped off. Um, I can't technically touch type, but having written so many millions of words, your sort of fingers know where they're going, even though I
Yeah.
don't touch type. I sort of semi touch type. Uh,
And I mean, I would call that touch typing. You might not have your hands in the correct position,
yeah,
but I know that I can look at someone like that and carry on typing because my fingers know where they need to go,
yeah.
and they will do it. And being dyslexic, I can do two things at once, multiple things at once.
Um, I have a favourite keyboard, which I've been using for many, many years.
Mechanical
Um,
or regular?
just a regular. It's a trust that I think I must have had best part of 15 years. Um, Eventually, I'm going to run out of computers with a PS2 socket on it. So uh, that I'll have to get a new keyboard at some point.
Or you can get
I actually,
adapters, PS2 to
I,
USB.
yeah, I write on the computer that's behind me, which is my old computer. I've always got two computers in here. One that I use for everything, and then one I use for writing. And I always sit on that computer for the first 2 hours, do all my writing, and then I come off of that one. And that way, I don't fall into Facebook at 7 o'clock in the morning and then go, oh no, it's 8:30. I can't do any writing now. Um, and so I do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's just sit on that computer, normal keyboard and mouse.
I need separate computers because I'm a gamer, and I know if I have the ability to play computer games or use anything like that, as with any addiction, don't dangle it in front of yourself. Set yourself up for success. Give
Yes,
yourself the world's most awful computer that can just do the task that you want it to do.
absolutely.
And separate rooms helps as well because we've got a whole studio being built behind us, which will be where all the author chats will be done in future. At the moment, it's terrible for audio, so I'm in here, which is technically my gaming room,
Yep.
with my gaming fish next to me and my gaming dog behind me. But yeah, we will be moving into the office shortly once it's finished.
Excellent.
But yeah, separate computers, even if your writing computer is just a really cheap laptop, and often I think the really cheap laptops are the best because you can't get a distraction on there, and you don't need much grunt to use Word.
Yep. Just make sure everything gets backed up.
Yes, cloud storage is a game changer. I have lost millions of words over the years because I've written all these stories and they've been on hard drives. Hard drives have broken, and I'm not really worried about it because it was years ago and I wasn't an author back then, but I was just publishing fan fiction. But lost millions of words over the years,
Yep.
and cloud storage has changed everything. Now my problem is I've written loads and loads and loads of stories and I can never find them on there because for some reason or another I've been like, this isn't working for me. I'm going to move on to something else, and then I'll go back to it. Uh, right, how do I find it?
Yeah.
Keyword: murder, death. Oh no.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for letting
And
me be here.
oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. And it's been absolutely phenomenal learning from you.
Thank you
And
so much for having me.
I look forward to reading your later works.
Excellent.